Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Razan Pereira. In a first of its kind, India released the National Database of Sexual Offenders today. The registry has key details like names, photographs, residential address, fingerprints, DNA samples and PAN and Aadhaar numbers of convicted sexual offenders, according to media reports. Now, the database, which will be maintained by the National Crime Records Bureau, will also contain over 4 lakh cases. The cases have profiles of first-time and repeat offenders. Before India, UK, US, Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa and Trinidad and Tobago have maintained the data record. However, in the US, documents can be accessed by the public. But in India, the details will be available only to law enforcement agencies. The decision to set up the database was taken in April this year following nationwide outrage over cases of sexual assault on minors. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze the NDSO. Joining me on the program today are Sipal Singh, former IG, Punjab Police, Aishwarya Bhati, advocate of the Supreme Court, and Virag Gupta, advocate of the Supreme Court as well. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Mr. Singh, I'd like to begin the program with you. Your thoughts on the National Database of Sexual Offenders.
You see, first of all, it's alarming. The reported figure itself is alarming. No, at one stage we were saying that from 2015 to 2016, there was an increase, about 10,000 sexual offenders against the women particularly, increase from 15 to 16. In 17th year, we were 217, we were thinking that there's a little dip, but now it's about 4 lakhs. Compared to last year, it was about 3 lakhs 38,000. Now it's 4 lakhs, increase, A. B, the conviction rate has been already going low compared to the conviction rate which was there in 2007. I just studied.
2017.
I'm saying 2007.
7, okay.
I'm talking about 10 years. Then it has almost dipped down to half. Again, the daily crime or the hourly crime is also multiplied by double. If there were 2 cases of sexual offenders somewhere in 2007, now it is 4 per hour. So what is that? It indicates that there's a little, not only increase, it's a very damaging conditions that the girls, the women are being brutalized. There's a lot of hue and cry by the media. Still, we are not able to curb. B, by data is a good, to analyze. But the shameful thing, when we consider that we have a sexual offenders at the rate of 3 lakhs, 38,000 last year, now it's 4 lakhs, we say, oh, it's not much, it's a little higher. But it's a 3 lakhs, 38 or 4 lakhs itself is very high figure compared to other cultured countries, developed countries and all. My submission is that, first of all, the database, of course, as I know that we collect the data, the Police Bureau of Research collects the data from each police station. And the police station gives this report in due course of time. You compile after a year or so the data. Now, earlier the data was not very correct because the police cases were not registered. And the data which was reported to the Police Bureau was only the registered data. Non-registered data were not reported. Now, with the alarm created by the media and all, at least the registration has gone high. And that is why I say that the crime has increased against women, that is 4 lakhs or something. I am still doubtful whether this data is exactly correct or not, because after all the data is coming from far and wide, from police stations which are located somewhere in the interior also. How far this data is correct, I don't know. But this figure itself is quite alarming.
Right.
This is my submission, that we should not take it casually. There's only increase of this percentage. That's not the question. The question is, there is an increase. There is not a dip, but there's an increase. And over and above, there the cases charged and the cases convicted is much less.
Right.
Charged is less, convicted is less.
Okay.
So it is a shameful state of affairs if we consider as a civilized country.
Right. So we are here to talk about the National Database of Sexual Offenders, and let's see, how much of an impact this database will have really. Aishwarya Bhati, how is this database really going to help the problem at hand, like the police officer or the former police officer has pointed out?
Well, I feel that it's a very positive step, and it will definitely help as a deterrent, as well as sorting out and solving the investigation process, as also ensuring that there is less opportunity for repeat offenders. You know, in recent past, we saw people who had gone on and ravaged hundreds of girls, and they they brandished it. They were not even apologetic about it. They brandished it. So if a sexual offenders directory is available, and mind you, the model that India is having is not the model that US has. So it won't be available in public domain. It will only be available to law enforcement agencies. And mind you, again, these are not people who are alleged to be. These are all convicted after going through the criminal trial, and they will be there on the system. So it is important to make sure that these kind of sexual offenders. So two things it will be important for. One, the police verification system. For the time of employment, we have to make sure that at least places like children's homes, shelter homes, schools, colleges, etc., where there are young and vulnerable children. There is no these kind of people who are convicts of sexual offences. They are not able to come through. This alone will not help. Let's not try to fool ourselves that this will sort out, this is like the panacea for all evil. No, it's not going to sort it out, but this is a very good positive step which will help at all the three levels.
Just to add to the point that you're making, when you have, something like this, a database for economic offenders, you have CIBIL. So why not have something like this which is far more for graver crimes? I mean, it's necessary at the end of the day, don't you think?
Yeah, because sexual offences, they fall in a different category. Usually, even the highest and the most heinous of offences, people can do, that can happen because of sheer necessity or being, motivated in a different way or out of sheer poverty or sheer compulsion. But sexual offences against women is like a hate crime. That stems from a depravity of mind, and that mental depravity has to be understood, and that is why there is, a sexual directory of database is contemplated only for sexual offences and not for other kinds of offences. So
right.
I think it's a very positive step, and I am sure this is going to be going to add to whatever other arsenal we need to deploy to make sure that our country becomes safer for women and
We'll talk
girls.
about the other arsenal as well in just a bit, but before that, Virag Gupta, what are the challenges really as far as maintaining a database such as this is concerned?
There may be many challenges. This whole exercise started in 2008 when the CCT network, this network is meant to share the data with all the 29 states and other union territories. In 2012, and in other two matters, we have raised this issue in the Ken Govindacharya matter and Promla Shankar matter, that if this system is implemented, then it can stop or it can have a better understanding among all the enforcement agencies. Now, three issues are there, broader issues are there in this whole enforcement. I have been told, and as per the news reports, there may be two categories of the data. The first category, where the arrested and charge-sheeted persons are there, that data will be shared among the police officers and enforcement agencies. And if the final conviction is there, that data will be shared with the public also, then only it will have some impact. Then they have also classified the data in 3-4 categories. One category is the low danger category. Their data will be kept for the 15 years. Then the moderate category, there the data will be kept for the 25 years. Then there are those categories where the violent accused are there, or those who are convicted for the gang rapes, and those who are those who can be a big burden for the society. In that matters, it will be kept forever, so that police and enforcement agencies can take the action. Now, three main concerns are there. The first is, many of the accused are family members. So whether the family members will be happy or they will be comfortable if their data is publicized, because ultimately whole family may be blamed for if the data is publicly available.
But this data is not going to be available to the public. It's
no,
going to be...
in the convicted case, as per there are some reports are there. If the convicted cases, it can be made available public also.
But the Home Ministry Minister has just tweeted and said that this data will not be available to the public. It will only be in the hands of law enforcement. So that fear probably is negated. And you can continue with the...
No. So if the convicted person's data is publicly available, then there are three concerns. First is the family concern. The second is the juvenile data. If that juvenile data is made available to the public, then there is, and the third aspect is the reform aspect, that once data is, it is like the history sheet a person is there, and if that type is there, then there is a little scope of any reform. And the question is, if this data is not circulated in the public, how it is going to help? Because since 2008, this data is available in the CCTN network, and it is being shared by all the police officers as per the CS network. I personally feel that all the data, all the crime data which is being maintained by the NCRB must be shared, not only the rape data, but the murder data and all other sedition or whatsoever data must be shared, because it is available in the network.
Right.
So, how it is going to help in solving the cases? This is something, let us wait for the more news reports on this.
I think Mr. Singh can throw some light on that, you know, sharing of data really. Yeah.
I like to submit. Actually, National Crime Bureau Record has been collecting and publishing a book every year on this data, not only on the sexual offender, murders, children, the full booklet. Every year a book is published classifying under various sections of law. Now what has come at this point of time is that they are going to have certain cases where they are, as my other spokesperson pointed out, they are going to have classification as to how many people are from the own known people, how many neighbors, how many there, that sort of thing may have impact. But that is only being confined to the law enforcement agencies. So what can be the effect on the general population is not known. Earlier also, I'm talking about a year back. A year back, one data was published about this, as he pointed out, about the people who were close. It said that out of the total 100 crimes, let us say, against the sexual assault crime, there is about 35% is people who are known and 28% is who are relative. So it comes to about 63 to 65% already, they said. My submission is different. My submission is, okay, it is known. Unless those people are named, there is no shame on them. B, it is providing a sort of, you know, latitude to some police officers as well as some politicians. A few days back, a crime took place in Haryana, and the Honorable Chief Minister says that let us find out how many whether she was very close to them. What does it mean? Being close to the neighbor does not mean that they have the liberty to go ahead with the rape. My submission is that where we are saying that it will provide it will shame to them, there it also provides a latitude to the police authorities as well as the political bosses. They say they are known to them, they were there, they are mixing up, they were consensual, all these things will come up. Second, the attitude as such in the police has not changed for years. You see, a few days back, again, I was talking to some very senior officer in Haryana police. He said, sir, ye to hota raha hai, hota rahega. What is this? This attitude is going to, if we are going to confine the data only by giving this categorization, this is not going to help. What I feel is, on the other hand, compared to this data, probably in the 218, they may show a dip in the data, just to show that this is a huge dip in 218, a lot of work has been done. My submission is that this collection of data has been going on for the last many years, ever since the IG and then additional DG and DG post was creation of National Crime Bureau Record. Home Ministry, it has done very good work, because collection of data itself is a very difficult job, because you have to go to remote places and get, now of course as it's coming through network and all, but it's very difficult in our time. So this is good statistics. But whether the statistics are going to help reduce the crime, whether the statistics will help in somehow or other taking these women out of this, what I am feeling is that despite everything, they are both liars there, there's no victim remedial system. We have a criminal law. There's no victim law in this country. Okay. And they should help the victim. Okay. And unfortunately, when they suffer, there's neither the victimology on that, victimology is a victim law, a victim justice system, I will use the word. There's the criminal justice system. And now is the second part, that in the social system, there's no help to the victim.
So I'm going to take the points that you made forward. One particular point that both of them have made, Aishwarya Bhati, is the fact that why not make this data available to the public as well? Because let the public also know who the people are who've committed these heinous crimes and who are the people who are brutalizing women?
Well, we are having a sexual directory for the first time now, 70 years of independence later. So let's wait. I think this is the first step, and I'm sure we can continue to discuss it, debate it, and after a lot of catharsis, if the need, the need of the society wants that to happen, it will happen. Sir made a point about victim justice system not being there. Fortunately or unfortunately, our criminal justice system follows an adversarial litigation path. Every crime has to be proved beyond the shadow of reasonable doubt. That's not the way in many European countries. It is inquisitorial laws. And now when you see all of these special laws, whether it is POCSO, whether it is NDPS, whether it is SC/ST laws, all of these special laws, here the onus is shifted to the accused. So they actually break away from the adversarial system and they follow the inquisitorial system. Times are changing, the needs of the society is changing. The CRPC did not give any right to victims earlier. The point is, one half of the population of the country or the family or the society or the world has to be able to go about their days with the assurance that they can follow their aspirations, they can contribute to the family, the nation, and they can realize their full potential without the fear of their own safety. So that is the important criteria, and whatever it needs to be done. I mean, sure, a lot of things, society does a lot of things, the laws also do a lot of things, on a test basis, on experimental. The fact is, this is something that has worked in some of the, some of the 9 countries, like you read out in the beginning, and it has worked in US. US follows the system where it is available in public domain.
Yeah.
So let us see what is the way ahead. I'm not close to the idea of it being available in public domain. I feel every accused person who's convicted of sexual offences must be named and shamed. I think it's absolutely necessary. That will act as a bigger deterrent to anything else. And sure, family members are innocent. I agree with Viragji. Family members are innocent. They will probably get stigmatized. But then you have brutalized a woman, a girl. Then be ready to face it. And she was also belonging to somebody's family. So then, why? It's okay if somebody in your family is an accused. Then I think the family should stand up and shun them themselves. So, and yes, putting it into 3 categories, like Viragji explained, will make it easier for people to bounce back on the level of threats that they have and the level of vulnerability that they have. So if somebody does want to reform, there is always opportunity available to reform. But sexual offences, like I said, reflect a depraved mentality, and we need to do everything as a nation, everything as a society, to curb it as much as we can.
Right. Virag Gupta, what else can be done? What more needs to be done, really, do you think, to enhance the database itself?
No, only 2 things are required. As per the original plan, what I said, what was reported earlier, that convicted, those offenders are there, their data will be public. Presently, as per the present scheme, government may not have thought about making it public. As per the present scheme, because we don't have any system to know what is the final conviction, because as rightly said, that in the trial court, if somebody is convicted, then they have to be confirmed by the High Court, then they will go to the Supreme Court, and we don't have any database whether the final conviction has taken place or not. That's why government may have thought in a temporary measure not to make it public. And 2 things are there. Number 1, that data was already there with the government in the CCTN network, and as per that CS software, that could have been shared between all the government agencies. My only point is that success of this depends on 2 things. Number 1, how our software is working. Number 2, how the state governments and the other police agencies are informing each other. What Singh was telling about the NCRB data. NCRB data is only published, data is published. Here the case is that individuals are named on the basis of personal description, their Aadhaar number, their photographs. Now, we have seen since long time that police has the record case file. Whenever any problem is there, then that police case record file can be shared with the other police agencies. Here what we are doing, that database is classified in the sexual offenders file, and that is being shared by all the police agencies. Now, it depends what police is further doing, whether they are getting this help for solving the existing cases, number 1. Secondly, how they are keeping watch in those persons. Number 3, how the society is alarmed about the presence of those persons. Number 4, that if there is any problem, so whether they will be nabbed or how this data is being used by the police agencies and different enforcement agencies, success will depend on that. That data is there.
Right, right. Let's broaden the scope of the discussion now and talk about what else needs to be done. In your opening remarks, Mr. Singh, you pointed out that how crimes against women have only gone up every year. What else needs to be done, do you think, to ensure that we keep our women safe?
I think I'll just touch on 2 issues. First point is very good. Database has come a little, it is already gleaned, but it has been made wider. Aadhaar has been, they have tried to link it up. My submission is the police officer at a particular place where this crime takes place, he is well aware of what is happening. He is well aware of as to, if the criminal is there with that Aadhaar card and he commits a crime again in that area, why it is not possible for us to draw out a pattern in that area? We have never done, because there is no police constable, there is no police beat, there is no beat constable, there is no such pattern that this man has committed a crime and then is committing again a crime and this is relatives and all. There was no. This data is actually made on all India basis. With the result, there will be some help. If they move from one place to other, they will be able to help. This is my point, number 1. I mean, let's hope for the best. I'm a little doubtful that unless you ensure the implementation, all these data are only historical. Unless you are able to implement it properly, the implementation process is lacking. So much so, then when we say the conviction rate, the conviction should be death sentence. After the Nibhaya case, then when this Unnao case took place for children, after the severity of this particular punishment, still the crime is going on. The severity of punishment has no meaning in this case because we have made it severe, but at that time they go free. They are not able to get conviction. The system, the entire judicial system is so complicated. It's become a folklore. Oh, it's like that police, ऐसा तो होता ही है. Courts में तो इतना लंबा चलता है, they are folklore. You know, there's nothing like that, that immediately there is just, despite these all quick courts, nothing is happening. Second, police. Where is, they said, all right, there's so much women police. Everywhere, whenever this, I have discussed in any of the other, your channels, we talk about it. How many police constables? We have recruited 20, 30, 40, 50. Whether those police constables have been deployed in the police station. Then we say, all right, everywhere the FIR should be lodged, irrespective of the whether the jurisdiction is there. What has happened now? The FIR was to be lodged in Haryana. They lodged, first of all, they didn't lodge. Then they lodged 0 is a shameful. After 0, then they converted into. So this sort of implementation process is very poor. Why? First of all, I blame the police and police. There's a, as my friends will tell, that any person who does not register an FIR in such cases after the amendment of criminal amendment law, he can be prosecuted, that police constable, police officer, whoever. How many police officers, police officials have been prosecuted so far? None. You transfer a person, you put him on leave. There has to be very stringent action against those people who have not registered the crime. No, nothing is happening. Then they came, I talked to some people, he says, the total strength, you know, the police is about 135 for 1 lakh of population, as against 240 or so authorized. And out of 135 also, about 25% are on leave or they are on training. So you are left with 80 people per lakh. How will you do? And those 80 people also are being diverted, either law and order duty or VIP duty, or there's nobody there in the police station, irrespective of the fact you are at the police station.
Right.
How many patrolling has been done with police? The Verma Commission has said that every patrol should have a police. How many patrolling has been done? My submission is either maybe it is a police angle, or maybe your law and your judiciary. The entire criminal justice system needs to be revitalized.
Okay, you need an overhaul.
Just going slow.
You need an overhaul as far as the criminal judicial system is concerned, is what Mr. Singh is suggesting. Aishwarya Bhati, I want to draw your attention to the other side of the problem, that of, making false claims of sexual abuse. Do we need a registry of that as well, or women who made false claims or false cases?
Yeah, well, why not? We already have a malicious prosecution provision available in the Indian Penal Code, and yes, whenever special laws are created and laws which are stringent, which are created, there are all kinds of false cases that come up, allegations of false cases come up, some false cases also come up. Any system will be used and abused both. I mean, it's not, the fault is not really with the system, but the important thing is that the system should be so robust that it encourages, it rewards people who are and gives a remedy, a succor, so to speak, to people who are really victims and who want to come in the procedure of law. And it should act as a deterrent. Now, you know what is that, the system that we have right now with the delays that are there at every level, I think the system that we have is shoot and scoot. You know, everyone wants to just injure, but nobody wants to really inflict the wound. So that is a generational thing that we are having, and that's a system that is, you know, that's a flaw that is existing with a lot of our institutions nation over and maybe even world over. But can we wait for women's safety to become, for institutions to be made robust? I think the solution really lies at too many levels, broadly at two levels. The system, the real change has to begin from the families. We have to really start teaching our sons and daughters right. A large number, a huge percentage of sexual offences happen in the corridors, in the four corners of the home, the vicinity that the victim calls, you know, safe home. So, and by people who are relatives, who are well known. So how's that happening? Law is not entering there. Those are not public spaces. The government or the police does not have access to that. That's inside the house. How's that happening? And then even when offences are happening in the public spaces, it's somebody's son, it is somebody's daughter. How is it that our value system has gone so wrong that we are not able to curtail this? And then the institution just, with contempt, it continues to breed impunity.
Right.
It adds insult to injury. The police investigation system Singh Saab spoke about, the judicial system adds to it, and at every level there is complete apathy, and we have like an ecosystem right now, which, an ecosystem of breeding contempt and ensuring that people who are on the wrong side of things are able to drag their feet, and people who really need the protection of the laws are not able to get it.
I think that's a very valid point that you've made. I've got time only for one final quick closing comment from Virag Gupta. Close the show for us with your concluding remark on the best way forward.
There are four aspects. Number one, family. So family values, how are impacting by the pornographic material and the video clips. So we need to control those things. Expeditious judicial trial and the police mechanism, whatsoever is there. And we must punish those persons who are making the false complaints. So overall, this is not something only by the rules or by these laws or by this database it can be, I think, resolved. It needs a complete overall in the system change in the family system as well as the judicial and the police system all.
All right, complete overhaul is what you're suggesting.
The nexus between the political bosses and the police officers and the prevailing corruption, once you hammer it out, you will find the police efficient.
Okay, all right. On that note, then I'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's it on this edition of The Big Picture. See you again next time.